some of it really hurts. Some of life is really painful. That your storm? That your storm, Trace? You afraid of storms? Yeah. It's fearful stuff, isn't it? You know, this is what I wrote. It says storms. And that's what I wrote on the grievance wall at the Wild Goose, too. And a storm came while I was in North Carolina. And I've been the tough guy in the storms. God has given me the gift of being able to run in when there's pain and be present. When I baptized Molly, I went out in the hallway after that and I said, God, that's it. You get one. God had other plans. It hasn't been the only child I've had to bury. And when the storm came, I knew I could run out and be with people. I knew about ministry of presence. It was in me. It was what I wanted to do. The fallen trees and the shattered houses and all that didn't scare me. I could run right by it and be there. And then on Friday at Shikori Hills, the clouds got bad. I'm getting text messages that there are storm warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings for Brimfield on my phone. I'm not getting the local stuff. And Gina's texting me saying, you've got storms coming your way, be careful. And I could tell that we had storms coming our way, and it was scary. And my first thought was, okay, God, I'll do what I have to. You know, I'm ready. I'm thinking, who are the organizers here? I gotta go find them, make sure we have an emergency plan. Because there are like, 2,000 people out in fields, and I'm like, this is not safe. We got to do something. So the wheels are turning, and my head is spinning, and I'm doing that whole thing. In my gut, I'm like, God, no, no, you don't get another one. Not today, not here, not now. It's not my turn, not my job. And storm's passed. We didn't have a storm. I could hear the thunder in the distance, see some lightning. There were some fears and some concerns, but it passed. But the storm in me didn't pass. And I had to go see some folks to get some blessing. And there was this group of charismatics there. And I used to be in a charismatic church. And I used to believe that stuff, and then I've rejected it. You know how hard it is to go back to something you've rejected and find the gift in it again? It's hard. But something in me stirred, and I wanted to go be with those folks. And they were such a blessing. And I was wearing my God is Still Speaking t-shirt. And they loved the heck out of that. It's like, yeah, God is still speaking. Because, of course, charismatics have been telling us that for years. Taken us a while for us mainliners to catch up, and that was the spirit of Wild Goose, that we could reconnect that way. At the closing ceremony, we all came to the grievance wall again. So we looked at things like greed and humility, too much focus, myopia. These are good folks. What do they all say? Ashley? Someone's got a grievance with Ashley? Bad people, not enough living wage jobs, another storm, bad health, fear, and the cat that got hit by a car. You saw the wall at Wild Goose. It was covered. All kinds of stuff. Some serious, some not so serious. But all of it grievances. And when you have a grievance, you have a grievance with somebody. My grievance was with God. My grievance was, God, knock it off. I can't do this anymore. It's a little tougher than when you have a grievance with, Ashley, because you can go see her. You can make it right. Before you come to the table, you can make it right with your brother or sister. But how do you make it right with God? So we were told to come back to the grievance wall and tear down our grievances and take them off. And when we did, this is what we found underneath the grievance wall. Jesus told us that the law is summed up in a very simple phrase. Love God with all your heart and soul and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Love God, love neighbor, love yourself. And sometimes we are in exile from God, in exile from neighbor, and most essentially exile from ourselves. So the first person to see when you get a grievance is yourself. Find peace with yourself. For me, I spent time with those folks at what was called the Milele Cafe, and I still don't remember what Milele means. They told me it was some Swahili word. But they were offering blessings, all sorts of wild and crazy, wonderful blessings. They had a menu. It was a cafe. Come get a blessing. What a wonderful gift of extravagant hospitality. And they didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. They didn't tell me anything that I couldn't have heard God saying to me anyway. But because I connected with them, I connected again with myself. I found those places in me. I talk a lot about the church being the church beyond walls. And I learned this past week that some of those walls are inside me. I've built the walls, and they're separating me from others. And I've got to tear them down and get beyond them and get reconnected with the self that is real and is mine. And I can be the fool again like I am with Trace. I went the next day. When I woke up, I felt much more refreshed. And I went, now here's a shock for you, bird watching. You know, I was somewhere I hadn't been before. I was farther south than I've ever been in my adult life. So, of course, there were species that I had to go find, right? I'd already found the Anhinga on Thursday. That was one down. But there were 3 more species that I had tracked down and wanted to get. So I made a trip down to Southern Pines, North Carolina. And sure enough, I found the red cockaded woodpecker family. And I heard a Bachman sparrow. I know this is very meaningful to all of you. But they're rare birds. They're in a habitat that you just don't get farther north than that. And so I got 2 life birds, right? That doesn't happen for me much anymore. I don't get life birds because I got so many of them already. But I got those 2, and then I swung by a place that was nearby and I've been to once and dipped on the bird. You all know that expression, right? Dipped. I missed it. I've been looking for this loggerhead shrike. And I found it. I found the loggerhead shrike. I was no longer at loggerheads. And so I had a 3 life bird day. Which just doesn't happen. I mean, it's been like 8 years since I've had 3 life birds in a year. And I had 3 in a day. And you know, there was a song, Mike, there was a song that I had been noodling around with on my mandolin guitar just the day before. Go figure. Maybe God is still speaking. And I found that maybe if I open up my ears, I will hear God's blessings where they are. Oh, you need words. You need words.
Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing